Yo, alright, so real quick, I wanted to highlight and go over some things that was on my mind over the weekend and going into week 2 of the games going on in the county. Two teams I want to highlight mainly in making this video were the University City Centurions and Scripps Ranch Falcons, man. There's an old saying, I don't know who it was from or where it originates, but it said something along the lines of, to whom much is given, much is expected. Transcribing that basically means if you have all this attention, notoriety, and exposure, along with a lot of people and articles and blogs, Twitter posts, or what have you, mentioning your name and always having you in the news, that comes with a lot of baggage, right? Like, that comes with a lot of expectations, high standards, high expectations. You better back up what everyone's talking about, right? You don't just bark, you better bite as well. What I'm getting at is, I better see something the rest of the season coming from UC and Scripps. Okay, Scripps Ranch lost their first week 1 game to Brawley, 27-20, and UC barely gets away from the Fallbrook Warriors, 14-7, at home. UC playing at home. Let me highlight University City first. I wasn't at the game. I could only watch PPR Raw highlights. But it was a 35-minute video, so I was able to get a lot from what I saw. Shout out to PPR. I appreciate it a little bit more if they were to shoot the highlights and the clips from the stands as opposed to the field level, but that's just my preference. Anyway, if the UC Centurions, however you say it, if UC didn't have Sam Cooper, the fourth, they'd be a dumpster fire. They'd be horrible. Sam Cooper by himself is the reason for the season and is going to be the only reason why that team sees any sort of success on both sides of the ball, because he plays linebacker too and he's the team's quarterback. If he wasn't on the team, UC would be terrible. This man, from what I saw, and I understand it's just one game, but from what I saw, he makes plays with his legs, and he's making amazing throws. And to be critical, I'm not trying to kick him for his abilities, but he's not the greatest precision passer in the world, but he's able to throw a ball and get it there and be productive, and that's all you really need. You know what I mean? I'm not sitting here saying he has to be Aaron Rodgers in the pocket, but in terms of pure quarterbacking, that's why he's labeled as an athlete recruiting-wise. Not the greatest passer, but he's very capable. And this man is out here making these amazing throws off the back foot, rolling out, looking like Johnny Manziel, making these plays. And ultimately, making plays is what wins games. But in contributing to him needing to do that was the fact that his offensive line played terrible. I don't know, they must have had some guys left last year graduating, or they just have some new guys coming up from JV, but their O-line sucks, and that's just, there's no other way to put it. I believe Mater Days had the same problem when their quarterback was running around all day playing Cathedral last game. Their offensive line sucks, and they need to get better. They need to make adjustments. Inexperience is a thing, and it takes time to have them grow. I get that, but at the end of the day, just call a spade a spade. If you're not producing, then you suck. You get better, it takes time, I get that. But as of right now, if the quarterback is getting sacked or if he's getting rushed and he's in hurries, and the defensive linemen are getting counted as getting hurries, and they're always around the quarterback making him uncomfortable, you guys aren't doing your job. That's how it goes. UC, I guess, was supposed to have a lot of these skilled athletes and skilled position players, but I didn't really see much. There are some guys that can make some plays. A lot of skinny, fast guys, but that doesn't really mean nothing to me. If they get hit a couple times, they're out the game. And Fallbrook wasn't doing any hitting, so that's why I don't understand how they only won by 1 touchdown, and you're playing Fallbrook. Like, you're not playing Morse. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not playing a much better team. This is Fallbrook, and you guys barely beat them at home. A lot of red flags, a lot of question marks from what I saw. It was a stalemate. Fallbrook didn't have any explosive players, so they didn't have the ability to score, but UC's offense looked stagnant, and they had virtually no run game from what I saw, and that's, again, attributing to the offensive line. Not good. Like I said, I heard a lot of good things about coming out of UC, and I know they just came up from D4, so again, they shouldn't be garnishing this much attention as they have been getting, but if they're getting this much, show me something. And they haven't shown me nothing. They showed me they almost lost to a bad team. I got my eye on them this year. I want to go out to the game, but if they're going to look like that every game, I'm not wanting to go. Scripps Ranch. Again, I wasn't out there. I believe the game was at Brawley, so they had to travel 2 hours over to the desert and just get beat. Scripps was another team a lot of people had eyes on. I believe they were ranked top 10, top 15 for sure this year in the county. Moved up to D1. Playing the big boys, won a state championship, won CIF for their division. Congrats. I believe D2. And they had a lot of good players last year. A really good quarterback, Leatherwood, 6'8". The guy's huge. Hey, man, if you don't have players, if you don't have supporting cast, doesn't mean anything. He's, apparently from what I heard, is really the only returning players they had from last year's state championship team. That doesn't mean nothing. He has no help. He's like Cooper at UC. If you don't have a supporting cast, you don't have O-line, your team's going to suck. That's how it goes. Like I said at the beginning, to whom much is given, much is expected. If I'm hearing all this stuff about you and how good your team is and how good everyone was last year, show me something. I get that the analysis isn't as detailed because it's high school and they don't have reports coming out of each team's camp on how good they are or how good the upcoming JV players or the returning players will be and what type of continuity the team has. But, holy crap. Don't just throw them in there for nothing. I believe Patrick Henry was thrown top 10 this year. And you saw what happened to them in their scrimmage against Lincoln. Had Robinson calling the plays on the sideline. Like, that's disrespectful. They open up against Mount Carmel this week. We'll see what happens. But in my prediction videos I mentioned earlier, I got Henry going like 2-8. They don't really have anyone except their quarterback and the linebacker, Hassan, number 42. That boy's a beast. I like him. But they don't got anyone else. Maybe a couple returning linemen, but you got to have a lot to go with it in order to be put in those conversations legitimately. Very disappointed with Scripps. They had a lot going for them, and they ended up losing their opener, and it's just going to get harder from here because you're playing Saints and they're playing Cathedral. Man, that Cathedral is going to be bad, man. I would call in sick if I were Scripps Ranch for that last game against Cathedral. That's just me trying not to get any of my players hurt, man. That's how it's going to be. Show me something. We'll see. Week 2, I got my eye on Scripps. I believe they have La Jolla. I got my eye on UC. I'm not sure who they play, but show me something. Because if you're going to be deemed as really good and you're disappointing me, I'm going to be all over that. Critiquing. We'll see. Show me something.